Hello everyone, welcome back to Jacqs. Thank you for joining me today. I have been going on a slide holder craze, so I thought I would come on and share that with you. Now, if you recall, I shared the creation of my July design team cover with you, and on the front I created two tags, and the one tag actually had a mini slide holder here. And so I thought I would start there by sharing how I created that. So first of all, I created my bee holder journal. I used these vintage slide holders that I picked up at the upcycle shop, and I love these, and I kind of hoarded them, so I didn't use them too much because I don't have that many of them, and that they're vintage because you can actually see you know, the distressed color, or the coloring on there. So that's how I started making my slide holders. And then I actually discovered some other dies for slides on AliExpress, which I will have linked down below. And these are it. So this is what comes in the package. You get this mini slide holder, and then you get this regular sized, and it's actually a little bit large, I would say, compared to my vintage ones. Even just looking through the window here, you can see that it's, definitely bigger. So they also come with this little hole, like in a tag to create a hole. I don't really use that, or at least I haven't used it yet. So when you cut these out, this little one, whoops, this little one looks like this. Super cute. And then here is the larger one. So here's my hand, and it's not as large as my hand, but let's see. Let me get my ruler. So the little one is about 1 3/8 inch across, maybe slightly less. And then 1 3/8, I would say, is this whole part. And for this larger one, it is 2.5. So that's pretty good size. So now let me show you what I've created with these dies. And again, I can show you that I used this small die to create this little slide. How I did that was I just cut it out of my die cutter. I have the Tim Holtz Vagabond, so I just cut that out using the July Design Team digital kit from Calico Collage. And when I cut it out on the paper, there was actually a bee there, so it looked like this, and I just love that. So what I'm actually going to do is go ahead and bend this over and attach this to the back of the card as if it was the slide that I was looking at. So look how seamless that is. So let's put a little glue on here. I'm going to use my art glitter glue. And I'm going to hold this shut and push it down in the middle. Now this one will look different compared to the other one that I made, because here you'll be able to see dimension on the sides, because I used a piece of the digital kit that was on thinner paper, and I used this on cardstock. So I cut this out in cardstock and then used paper to punch out the image that I wanted in the center. But here it will all almost be the same, but you'll still be able to see the line around it. So I think that's positioned really well. Go ahead and add some more glue here and get this shut. So there we have our small slide. Now to hang this, what I did was use a hole punch that is like almost a pinpoint, very thin. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's not the big fat one. And it, let's see if we hang this. I think let's hang it from this side. Whoop. And just punch it, and you see it just makes that little bitty hole. See how small it is? And then you can put some thread in there or crochet thread, whatever you have, and then you can hang this in your journal. Very cute. So that's what I've done with the small one. Now for the larger one, I have so many things here to share with you guys. I happen to be able to be the bearer of a wreath of dried flowers and such, and this was one of the items that was on it. So I put that in there as if it was like a little specimen from your garden, right? So really all I did, I just used cardstock after I printed the digital kit out on it, put a image in the back, and that was on regular 32-pound weight hammer mill paper after I put the digital kit on the paper, and then put the dried specimen, this little greenery, down in there. And I didn't even, I'd maybe put a little bitty dot of glue and pushed that down over it and then glued it shut. I didn't even, you know, press it or anything. So that's how I made the large one. Now let me show you one that is not garden related, but is still using that slide. So here's what I created, and this is a specimen slide, and it has what I'm calling blood. Here you go. So after I started thinking about this, I'm like, oh, what all would they use slides for? And I thought, oh, for Halloween, you know, at Michael's they had these little stickers here that look like slides. So that kind of got me going, and I thought, oh, so I'll use this to make a specimen slide. So I used some of this Trick or Treat Pebbles paper pad, and it was the Trick or Treat page. Cut out I used the die to cut out the slide. Okay, so there's two ways that you can cut out this type of slide with the hole all the way through it. One, you can take your paper, let's say we were going to use this one. You take your paper, you fold it over, and you put the fold line right before you do the score line on the die. Okay, so it would be like right there. You run it through the machine, you will end up with this. Okay? Or if you just run this through twice, you can cut off this portion of the die, that the die cut, and then you will end up with this. Okay? So I think we're going to use these to recreate the blood sample slide. You know, Halloween's coming, we gotta think. Okay, so actually using two different types of acetate, if you will, and let me get those to show you. I'm using the American Craft clear plastic. This was at Tuesday Morning. And then I'm also using Fellows binding cover. Now I actually bought this first a couple years ago because I wanted some acetate, and this was all that was in the store that I was at. I think it was Staples, and I really like this a lot, you guys. It's thick. I don't even know, it doesn't say what, you know, the dimension of the, like this one, this is 0.007, but this one doesn't say what it is. And what I found is the binding cover, if you're going to use stamps, which I'm going to show you in a minute, that works better. Like I used a stamp on here. I used the Stampendous collection by Andy Skinner, and I just stamped the rib cage of the skeleton on here. And it works better on the binding cover than it does on the clear, because I stamped on a clear, let me find it. So, because I stamped on the clear plastic from American Craft, and I just didn't think it came out as well. I'll be showing you all about this in a moment. I'm telling you guys, I got so much here. It's kind of a mess. Okay, so anyways, those are the two types of plastic that I am using. Okay, to get back here, you take your acetate or your plastic, whatever you have. I initially was going to use my pearlescent inks, but I didn't have a red color. So what I ended up doing was using my Dylusions ink spray, and this one is Postbox Red. So what you do with that is I just opened it up and used the sprayer and put some on here. Kind of clumpy. Really a little dabble, do you? And then what I did, I had another piece of plastic or acetate, and I smushed them together. You see what happens? It all mixes together. Very cool. And it actually looks like blood. Let me see if I have a white piece of paper here. Yeah. Very cool. Isn't it cool? So it looks like this when you first do it, but when this one is actually overnight, and then it kind of spread out a little more, which I thought was kind of cool as well. So here we are with these. Now, I did not glue these two pieces together. I don't think it's necessary. What we need to do now is let's, oh look, I got blood on the slide. I'm going to do some inking around these two pieces. Okay, I'm going to use my Tim Holtz Vintage Photo. Just ink these up a little bit. I like that they look a little grungy and a little old. Be great for Halloween for sure. You can make it darker in one spot and lighter in the other. Okay, so these are all together. That looks so real, you guys. It's so cool. Okay, so now what we're going to do. Oh, this is really big, isn't it? Oh, darn. Didn't really want to cut it. All right, I'm going to go offline and cut this down to size because I see it's squirting out. Okay, so this is cut down, and now I'm going to add glue around the cutout here. And actually, I'm just going to go ahead and glue the whole side because I'll just attach the other side after we get that on there. Okay, so we place that where we want it. Add just a little bit of glue around the slide for when we put the other top of it on. And we add this. Let me get some of this glue off before I start smooshing. Now try not to get too close to the cutout because the glue can squirt onto the slide, and you can clean it up, but it's easier to not do it. Sometimes it's hard to get the glue off of the actual slide or the plastic. Just trying to align everything. Very cool, especially with that little blood spot, we're calling it. All right, so that is the blood specimen. Okay, when I created this one, I used some fabric here and stamped on it, added one of the fashion or bulb pins, and I actually had used the plastic or acetate again and did some stamping, put a skull on there from the same stamp set, used the skull, and then just made another hole in it and attached it to the pin. And then I used the Lost and Found by My Mind's Eye. I actually just got these, if you saw my haul. This was a $17.90 in there, and I thought that was really cool to have that down in the corner. The specimen stamp was from Inkadinkadoo. I picked this up last year. It's a Halloween set. It's called Test Tubes, and it has specimen right there. So the material that I used was one of these fabric quarters from Joann's. This is 100% cotton. It's called a cream solid, and I tore it from the main piece. Cut out a little slab of it. A little piece, you guys. And then you can actually pull some of the threads from it on the side, which I like because then it made it more grungy. There. Did that on both sides, if you'll see there. And I even then used vintage photo to grunge it up even more. I really just wiped that on. Here's our bulb pin, and let's do some stamping then. For the stamping, I'm just using Archival Ink Jet Black. And there we have it. So we can just glue this on here with some art glitter glue. And use this to stamp the $17.90 on it. Where did it go? Here we are. And there we have our slide. I'm not going to put the bulb on it. I don't have another one of these skulls, but later on if I have something, I can always dangle it there. So here's the two that I created that way. Ooh, that's really bloody. Okay, you guys, so that was one Halloween idea for you. Okay, I cleaned up a little bit. Now, the next type of slide holder that I created was using my Cricut, and actually that'll be the next two. Well, three actually. So I found this type of image in Cricut Space, and I designed it to be the width and everything that I needed. Because if you recall, there are actually slides that are like if you work in the real lab, you will come across slides that are 1 by 3 inch. So this one I may or may not have shown you already, but this I used a stamp image, and that was from Graphic 45. And then on this one, I had printed out some images on some tracing paper, and then I put it in what would look like a slide if it was real. So this is 1 by 3 inch. So I created those, and that's when I came, you know, I thought of the holder first, and then I came across thinking about putting the slides in the holder. So I looked up the official size. It is 1 by 3. So when you print this out, what I did was I added my plastic, clear plastic or acetate across that, and then added my dried floral right here on the inside, and then just glued this all up and put some decorative paper from the digital kit that I'm using this month. And I think that's cool too. Like if I had description, you could add a little label here, which is what I was going to do. I just really don't know what any of these flowers are or greenery. But a label could be here. I may add some fabric or something later. But I wanted to show you that this is another way to create a slide holder. And you could actually do this on your own. So this piece of paper is about 4 7/8 by 3 3/4. And then the hole is 1 by 3 inches. If you have a die or just you could create your own, you know, die cut. You could create a sample, you take a piece of paper, cut it out, you know, and then trace around it, and then cut that out of the paper, however you wanted to do that. Or you could use any size punch if you have it. It doesn't have to be an actual slide size. You could do whatever you want, and I'll show you one of those later. So anyways, this is the next direction that I was going. I really like these. This one I did use the dried flowers in there, or the greenery, and I thought that was cute. So that's another type of holder. So when I created these, I actually created 2 types of slide holders. So I found a image in Cricut Design Space that looked like this. It actually was a card. I again resized it to what I needed it to be, and I then kind of modified it a bit and cut these parts out, because before these were score lines. So we don't need this one. But if you take the bottom one and you put this one on top and glue it together, it actually will hold your plastic slide that you created just as if it was a real one. So these little notches on the side are to help you take out the slide. So I thought we would go ahead and decorate these today. Guess I should do this side, not that one. So this here is like a slide that you might put in. You would take your clear slide, put it in, mount it onto this, and then look under your microscope, if you were in the lab. So what I did was cut this out on, thin, lightweight chipboard, and then I cut it out again using the decorative paper. I told you guys, I went crazy creating these. Once I got started, it was so much fun. I kept thinking of all these different ways to do it. So I wanted to share with you, because I know there's been a lot of videos lately about creating slides. So I thought I would show you some other variations. Okay, so here is our slide mount holder. Again, you would take your slide that you created 1 by 3 and slide that in there, put it under your microscope, and look at what you have. And then you would take it out by using these notches on the side. So that's one way of doing that. The next one I created, I used that same design in Cricut Space that had this design. But what I did was I cut off the decorative edges so that it would just be flat across. In this particular one, I used it so that I added plastic here, or acetate. You would fold that up and it actually would make a little pocket like, and you fold this over. So it's like another slide mount holder that actually protects the plastic. Okay, so I'm going to use this piece to create another slide here. It keeps shedding. I'm going to go ahead and add my glue on here. Just smushed it down. Now because I don't really flatten these, they will be a little, you know, they won't be extremely flat. They'll have some, like a little bubble. But you could, after you get these created, take them, put between two books and flatten them. But I'm not really too worried about it myself. So there you go, another slide holder. So the last one that I have to share with you is one that I created using Cricut Design Space. And I was thinking about when you actually buy, you know, a bunch of flowers to plant, they usually come with like a ticket inserted into the pot. And so I created this kind of little tag, if you will, that you would stick down into the dirt, and this would have all the information about your plant, right? That's how it normally would be. So for today, I created one like this, and then I created one with a cutout. So you could use this, put your design paper on it, and, you know, if you wanted to put information about the flower or plant, you could. But today, I'm actually going to kind of be using it sort of like a slide, but not really, maybe more of a shaker card, I guess. Okay, so to create this, what I wanted to do was glue one of these down to the base. Now this will make it thicker, but I wanted to have the dimension on the center part. Okay, so here are the flower pieces that I'm going to be using, and I'm going to put those in the center. These again are dried flowers. Kind of arrange them if you want to. There. Now I'm going to use some tulle. I got this tulle at the Dollar Tree, and I just cut off a little piece, and I'm going to, let's see, let's put a little glue around the corner here. Put our tulle over it. If you want, you can dab down the sides so it stays in place. And then we'll take our other piece and glue that on top. So they don't really shake, but it does allow you to see the flowers. And I kind of just wanted this to be a little bit reminiscent of the little stakes in plants when you buy them. And what I'm going to do now is just trim off the excess tulle. And then we can glue on the decorative paper. So there you have it. It's like a little plant stake that tells you about the flower. So that's it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this session about creating slides, and I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching.